All right. I hope I can be heard right now. Hold up. I'm gonna double check something real quick. It shows that the audio input thing is working. I'm hoping it actually does. Hold on. All right. All right, there we go. There we go. What is going on, all three of you? How are we doing today? Hope you're doing all right. I'm just gonna double check something real quick. Um, yep. All right. It's all good. All right. Sorry about that. So, nice. Good. That's good. Um, so I haven't streamed in a while. Oh yeah, we're shaking the desk over here. I haven't streamed in a little while. It's just look, because streaming isn't something that I plan on doing all the time. Though I would like to do it a little bit more than I have. I'm going to be streaming not streaming the fight itself, but streaming for the Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul fight. I'm also going to be streaming for the Misfits 8 card because I know a couple of guys who are going to be on the card. One of them is Jack Grady. He's going to be on what is it? The prelims, and also Alex Stein. I never got to meet Alex Stein when he was here, which sucks because he really seems like he's a cool dude. Probably cool dude, fun to be around. And but I did inbox him just to ask him a little bit about his opponent and things like that. And yeah, I mean we're gonna see how he does. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I believe, yeah, it's July 22nd. The Misfits card is going to be, and then it is going to be August sometime for the Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz card. So just stay tuned for that. One sec. I have a list of things that I was asked before. Where is that list? And don't worry, I am going to be reading your stuff. It's just, I want to make sure that I get around to this stuff. Wait, Alex Stein is fighting someone? Yeah, Alex Stein is going to be on the Happy Punch prelims for Misfits 8. He is going to be fighting a guy named Mo Dean, who, to my understanding, is basically like a Muslim preacher. That's just what I've been able to gather about him. Basically like an e-celeb who, like, flexes like he's some kind of, like, Muslim, like, super preacher or something like that. I guess there's like a thing in London where like people go, and I think they literally call it Preacher's Corner. I could be wrong about that though. But there's a place in London where like a bunch of religious people go, and they preach on the street corner, and they also argue and things like that. And I guess this is one of the more argumentative guys. He has been in a few fights and stuff like that. But I am confident that that Alex can win. I'm also confident that my guy Jack Grady is going to win. Jack Grady Magic. Go ahead and look him up if you don't know who he is. He's on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. So there's that. I'm trying to remember if there's any updates. I mean, I don't know about any updates before I do get into everything that I was gonna end up talking about. When it comes down to it, I'm just kind of doing what I'm doing. Really, I released a video today. It was a video that I think needs to be heard, specifically by the Jiu Jitsu community. That is, because there's been problems for decades because the Jiu Jitsu community, and somebody on Reddit said this, which I hate to give anybody on Reddit credit. All right, but this Reddit guy deserves some credit. Jiu-jitsu is for profit. Now, wrestling, I mentioned that I was spoiled by wrestling tournaments when I was, when I was doing that video. Wrestling tournaments are typically put on by people who profit is not really the thing that they're even worried about necessarily. They just really want to see wrestling. They want to see some good wrestling. And because of this, you don't really see adult wrestling, if we're being honest here. That's one of the drawbacks of it just being put on by people who really love it, is that it's kind of a young man's game. You don't see dudes that are in their 30s and 40s wrestling. Typically. You do have some of it around, but it's not like jiu-jitsu is. Jiu-jitsu, while you do have people in their 20s, 30s, 40s that are not world-class athletes and they're doing jiu-jitsu, The fact that it's for profit means that a lot of these tournaments are going to just be god awful. And that's why I think that this video needs to be heard. I obviously picked some of the more inflammatory moments from the video in order to kind of promote the video. But that's because, well, I mean, it was the most interesting, right? And it kind of summarized my point succinctly. You know, a lot of jujitsu people, they have stank attitudes, if we're just being honest. A lot of jujitsu people are cultists. They think that because they lay on their back and they throw people in triangle chokes, that somehow makes them like the best ever, you know? And it's something that has always really bothered me, especially because in my first MMA fight, I tried to just be pure jujitsu on the ground and I got absolutely stomped out, right? And I'm mad that I was allowed to go. Well, I'm not mad anymore, but for a little while, I was a little bit upset that I was allowed to go out there, not having actually done any like good grappling for MMA. You know, I was hunting for submissions on my back like an idiot. You know, if I'm being honest with you. But because the jujitsu world, because the jujitsu community is so awful, the tournaments are awful, and they're never made to improve. You know, I remember. Again, I don't want to mention names. I don't want to be putting like specific people or specific groups out there on blast like that or anything like that. However, you know, I remember when certain organizations were putting on tournaments for like $40 to $50, right? And even then, like I thought that was kind of expensive, right? Because, you know, at the time I knew of a wrestling tournament that was doing it for like $35, right? You could enter the same day for $30 or $35. But I was like, all right, that's not that bad. Meanwhile, you had other organizations that were trying to act like they were more legit, and they were charging closer to 100. Now, a single bracket in any jiu-jitsu tournament is over $100, regardless of what tournament it is, right? In addition to that, you also have these organizations that are trying to act like they're the WBO or the WBC of like jujitsu or something like that. You know, like there's some kind of sanctioning body where you have to be a member and then you can enter tournaments and things like that. So you're paying like a 40, 50, or sometimes more dollar fee just to become a card carrying member of this organization. And then after that, you get to pay over $100 for one bracket in the tournament that they have coming to your locale, you know, whatever, the Boston Open tournament or whatever it is. It's insane, and I dislike it a lot, and I've always disliked it, and I've always had a problem with it. Like, there has not been one jiu-jitsu tournament that I've been to where it has not been like a bad experience, right? And the one that I was at this weekend, last weekend, it was probably the worst experience that I've had out of all of them. And I've had some pretty bad experiences at them, you know, if I'm just being honest with you. And the worst part is, like, when you say that shit, the cultists turn on you, you know? You start losing respect from people for being honest and saying the things that need to be said. Fucking, it's ridiculous. You know, no matter what, you're the asshole. Because really, at the end of the day, what they're upset about is the fact that you're cutting into their grift. You're shaking things up a little bit, right? They don't want that. They just want to collect your money and put on a dog shit tournament, and then you shut up. And if you like, whatever happens at the tournament, you know. You get your fingers broken because somebody grabbed your fingers and the ref didn't say anything. You get slammed and the ref didn't say anything. Or you don't slam somebody, you just pick them up and you put them down a little bit too aggressively, and all of a sudden the referee is like, no, DQ. Like, it's bonkers. It's stupid as hell, you know? The rules change every 20 minutes. It's stupid. But, you know, I just released a video on it today. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is on my channel. It's Jiu-Jitsu tournaments are awful. That's what it's called. I believe that's what it's called. I already forget the name of the video that I put out only a few hours ago. Oops. But yeah, you know, that is what it is. All right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to read some of these. And then I'll go ahead and I will start reading off from the stuff that I you know, got from Twitter and stuff like that. Sam needs to train Alex. Any ideas who's training Alex? I am not sure who's training Alex. If Alex came back up here though, I'm sure Sam would train him, and I know I'd be down to train him. You know, I'm down to train just about anybody as long as their name's not Vosh or Vosh or Hassan Piker. You know, like legit, I don't care. One person I'd really like to train is Justa Minx because I can fix her. I can fix her, guys. All right, hear me out. Would I could fix her? Okay, all right. Trust me. Trust me. No, because like she's got problems, and I'm not saying like I'd want to be her best friend or anything like that, but like it she seems like the type of person that I could gel with, so I wouldn't mind being around her in the most general sense, and then also training her for a fight. She's just got to get her shit together. And I mean actually get it together, not just like, oh, I'm getting my shit together. I swear it. I swear I'm not touching the booze anymore. And then, she gets here and she's got a fucking beer in her hand, like when she meets me or some shit like that. I'd be cool with training anyone, bottom line. That's what I'm saying. That jiu-jitsu vid was so good. Thank you for telling it how it is. BJJ guys are dweebs, not fighters. Yeah, I mean, look, as a dude who does Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I do mainly gi jiu-jitsu, right? Not like MMA grappling or anything like that. Like, I train mainly gi jiu-jitsu. I love it. I really enjoy the hell out of it. I do, and I want to become a black belt. And I don't hate anyone. I don't have anything against anyone just because they do jiu-jitsu. After all, I do jiu-jitsu too, right? But what I don't like is the cultists. What I don't like are the people who think that jiu-jitsu is the end-all be-all when they've never been punched in the head before and they don't know how they'd react. And anytime someone gets hit for the first time, they either panic or they freeze. And it's basically one and the same, right? So these people who are like, on the ground, on the ground, I'm like a shark. The ground is my ocean. And most of these people can't even swim. When they do and say shit like that, it's like, yo, shut up. If I hit you with a good leg kick, you would fall back and you would guard pull, right? That would be your answer if I hit you with a leg kick. You would guard pull, and then I'm not going to be dumb enough to go into your guard. I'm going to keep kicking your leg while I'm on the fucking ground. That's how that would go in a real fight. Like, I'm not talking like on the streets or anything like that. I mean, this is why you don't see that many jiu-jitsu guys in MMA anymore. And the guys that you see in MMA, excuse me, who are jiu-jitsu guys, they typically do it in a very specific way, a way that you don't see from the average jiu-jitsu guy, right? Somebody going to an IBJJF tournament, whether Pan American Games, IBJJF, Naga, ADCC, whatever. They're not grappling the way that somebody who is a good jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC is going to grapple. And I even touched upon that in the video itself. I talked briefly about Charles Oliveira and how even though he's known as a submission specialist, for one thing, he's got hands that people are now like seeing that he's got. But for another thing, his jiu-jitsu is not the same as like a guard puller's jiu-jitsu or anything like that. He does it differently. But again, like I did a video on it earlier today. I'm just reading your comments. Why are they like that? Referring to jiu-jitsu guys. You see, here's the reason why jiu-jitsu guys are like this. I was actually just talking to the wife about this. Some of you are probably figuring out now that I'm not actually dating Sylvia. I have a wife. She's fucking out there with the dog right now. You can probably hear the dog barking. Now, the reason a lot of jiu-jitsu guys are like this is because a lot of people don't get into jiu-jitsu for the right reasons. They get into jiu-jitsu because they don't have a personality. Either that or they are a narcissist. And because of this, they are looking for something that will give them a personality, or they are looking for something that's going to further their ego. And when it comes to fighting is one of those things that people tend to flock to because it gives you a personality. It gives you and ego if you're not careful, if you're not going about it the right way, if you're not actually trying to improve yourself, right? Now, the reason why jiu-jitsu people specifically have the types of egos that they have is because jiu-jitsu is a proven method of fighting, right? Is a jiu-jitsu tournament a fight? I wouldn't call it a fight. That's why I don't say, oh, I have 3 fights in this jiu-jitsu tournament today. No, it's I have 3 matches. I won my first match, not I won my first fight, right? Getting that distinction out of the way. Jiu-jitsu is a proven method of fighting. You can win a fight that way, and you can beat a lot of people with Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. In addition to that, there was a marketing gimmick in the early 90s put on by the Gracie family known as the Ultimate Fighting Championships. Yes, that is where the UFC comes from. Little known fact, the UFC was literally a marketing gimmick set up by the Gracie family in order to make Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu go worldwide. And if you take a look at it, you notice certain choices were made, certain things were done to make it a little bit easier for Hoist, that was the Jiu-Jitsu guy in UFC 1, to win versus say Frank Shamrock, right? Versus Dan Severn, versus whoever, right? Versus all these people, right? You can actually hear Don Fry and Dan Severn talk about this. They have a podcast that I don't even know if it's still going on, but you can find videos of it. They talk about that, how there was definitely a little bit of favoritism in UFC 1 towards the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. But, pontificating aside, right? The marketing gimmick that was put on by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gave it an aura of invincibility. Nobody can beat you if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You are invincible if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You are the smartest. You are the coolest. You are unbeatable. You will win every single fight you have ever been a part of. You have a big pee-pee. You're probably rich. You probably drive a cool car. You probably have a model girlfriend, right? All these things, right? That's the aura that is attached to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And a lot of people who want to feel cool, but they don't want to actually put in the work to go through that slog, that absolute gauntlet every single day of, I got to go into the gym, I got to put on gloves, I got to put on headgear, I got to get hit in the face, right? Dudes that don't want to have to go through that, they decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to join Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And because of all that stuff that I just mentioned, I hope that I made a little bit of sense here, but because of all that stuff that I just mentioned, they develop this ego where they think, well, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that means I'm the best. And the funny thing is, there's this little meme, there's this little thing in the community, in the Jiu-Jitsu world. There's this little thing in the Jiu-Jitsu world where everybody trashes their game. Like, again, talking about Reddit again, you see it on Reddit all the time. People make like self-deprecating jokes. They're like, oh, I used to be bad at Spider Guard. I still am bad, but I used to be bad too. Ha 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 ha. Oh man, I made fun of myself. That means I'm humble. That means I'm humble. But really, I'd choke you to death if I had to. But I'm a humble guy. Haha, I made fun of myself. That means I'm humble. Like, that's one of the things that annoys me about jiu-jitsu guys. It makes me not want to be around them, right? In big groups like that, right? Because, like, you go into a gym, everybody's pretty normal, right? But you go into a place where it's like, oh yeah, we're talking about jiu-jitsu. It's like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I don't want to talk about that, you know? You don't have to trash yourself to be humble. And in fact, if you're trashing yourself, you're probably not humble. You're probably trying to play offense, right? It's like when the hottest girl you know goes, oh, I'm so fat. I'm ugly. Oh my gosh, my hair sucks. She's fishing for compliments. She's not actually humble. She doesn't actually believe what she's saying. In fact, she thinks her hair is great. She thinks she's skinny as shit, or like, the modern trend is thick. She thinks she's thick, and it's great. she thinks the exact opposite of what she's putting out into the world, right? Because she's hoping that instead of her saying it about herself, and then everyone's like, gee, what a stuck up bitch. She's hoping that she'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat. And then somebody else will be like, no, you're not. Wow, you're thick. You're a thick girl. That's what they're hoping. It's annoying, it's stupid. Exactly. I Claudius said ego trips for seeing themselves as killing machines. Um, Hold on. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Joshua Tomeo. Yeah, if you guys could like the stream, I would really appreciate that. Also, um, I'm not telling you you have to. All right, obviously, but I did set up the tip feature on Streamlabs. All right, so pay pigs, pay up. Okay, all right. Um, No, like I'm just letting you know though, like if you ever wanted to give me money for any reason, it's cool if you didn't want to. I don't expect anything from anyone ever at all. Like literally never, right? But if you ever were like, oh, you know what, I want to throw Scott $5, now's your chance. Now's the time. Now's the time to do that. All right. Um, no, but really, don't feel pressured at all. Thank you if you do. If not, it's whatever. You know, whatever. Who cares? Um, oh man, there's so many comments coming in that like I feel bad if I don't read the comments. All right, so I'm gonna read a few more. All right, and then I have some stuff from Twitter that people wanted me to talk about. Okay. Um, they fed him wrestlers who would take him down, so he had the easy path to victory. Yeah, and not only that, but they fed him like they didn't just feed him wrestlers, right? Because Frank Shamrock was no joke. The dude was a wrestler. He was a submission champion, but excuse me, he was one of like Pancraze's superstars. Pancrase was MMA before MMA was MMA, right? Um, if there was anyone who could have submitted or pounded into the dirt Hoist Gracie, it was Frank Shamrock, right? Excuse me. And he actually, I think he tells the story of how the fight was kind of sort of bullshit. I think he tells that story on that podcast with Dan Severn and Don Fry. So like if you look up Dan Severn, Don Fry, Frank Shamrock, and I guess maybe podcast, it'll probably pop up. And they'll tell the stories about the early days of the UFC back when it was a tournament format. Um, all I can think of is the Chael Sonnen take on Gordon Ryan, where he agrees he shouldn't transition into MMA. That was, of course, from Sid Barreto. What's going on, dude? How you doing? Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard his take on Gordon Ryan, but I do agree. Like, Gordon Ryan should probably stay out of MMA. It's one thing for a wrestler to go into MMA, right? Because they have a style of grappling that is very good for MMA. If you're just a submission grappler, though, not so much. Not so much. Um, Blake Anderson, like I obviously know advice from a YouTube live stream, regardless of who it is, will fix my situation. Just looking for constructive words of encouragement. What? Let me read that again. Like I obviously know advice from a YouTube live stream, regardless of who it is, will fix. I assume you meant will not fix my situation. Um, it seems like you asked me a question, but I can't seem to find that question. So if you want to ask me the question again, feel free. Um, all right. So, oh boy, it's the sugar in me copy pasta. All right. Well, I'll come back to these. All right. I'll come back to these. Right now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna start going through the prompts that people were talking to me about. Favorite ice cream. I wrote that down as a joke. So somebody actually asked me what my favorite ice cream is. I don't have a favorite ice cream. To me, it's not about the ice cream. I'll take even just like a plain chocolate. To me, it's about what you put on the ice cream. Okay, get some brownies, get some cookies, M&Ms. That's what it's about for me. all right, is what you put on that shit. And that's why Cold Stone Creamery is the best, all right? Because the way they mix it all, right? It's not just your stuff on top of it. It's basically like they take whatever ice cream you had and then they mix it in so that you had cookie ice cream. You had brownie ice cream from the start, all right? Then you get some hot fudge, you get some of that hard topping, right? That stuff that hardens over time. That's the stuff right there. That, yes, all right. Doesn't matter what kind of ice cream. It matters what you put in it. All right. I'm going to save Hey Arnold for last. Somebody asked me why Hey Arnold is my favorite cartoon, why I like it so much. My favorite kids cartoon. I'll talk about that, all right? But I think there's more important things to go about, especially just because I did a joke one first. I also saw one of these that I'll answer real quick. Coach, what were your thoughts on John Jones versus Alex Gustafsson? I still don't know how to pronounce the dude's name. Part 1 and 2, are they both goated? I haven't watched part 1. I haven't watched their first fight in a long time. But when I did watch it years ago, I remember thinking that Gustafsson won, like hands down, like it was bullshit. And is John the GOAT? I think you could potentially consider him to be one of the best to do it, but he's a size bully. All right, like if you look at a lot of the fights between John Jones and other guys, John, like it'll look like when a senior is fighting a freshman. All right, the size difference, the height difference, right? And because of that, it's like, okay, like, is it really that he's that good, or is it that he is able to use his size difference to his advantage? And to support my theory, I point to his fight with basically any other dude who was his size ever. Ever. Fucking, Thiago Santos, right? He ends up, I forget if it was one or both, but he blows out at least one of his knees. And he still gave John a hard time. Dominic Reyes. Everybody thought Dominic Reyes won. Alexander Gustafsson. I say whatever comes out first. If it's Gustafsson or Gustafsson, whichever one comes out first. That first fight. Now, the second fight, Alex ended up getting it handed to him. All right, fine. Meaning, like, he got his ass handed to him. From my recollection, anyway. Fine. Right? But it doesn't take away the fact that John tends to struggle against people his size. Now, someone like Cyril Gane, I mean, he could beat my ass, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he is the caliber of fighter that look, I think that the heavyweight division is a division where it's easier for guys who are not as talented to get by. Okay? And I think Cyril Gane, while he is talented, he's not talented enough. And because of that, I think the UFC kind of sort of took Cyril and they were like, "Hey, you're going to fight John Jones. Isn't that a great opportunity for you?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, definitely. There's no way I'm not going to take that." But I don't think he necessarily 100% deserved it. Not for a belt, anyway. Okay? I think they gave him Cyril Gane because they knew that Cyril was going to lose. Right? Because they wanted John Jones. They just lost what's-his-face in Ngannou. That was a moneymaker. Right? So they need somebody at heavyweight who's going to be a moneymaker. So they give John Jones to Cyril Gane. John does what everybody knew was going to happen. And here we are today. Right? So I will say that I think he could be in the running. I won't say that John Jones is the GOAT, all right? Everybody forgets about Georges St-Pierre as well. He was back in a time where they didn't have any fluff in the UFC. If you were in the UFC, you were a fucking killer, and that's that, right? And he beat all these guys, and all the dudes that beat him, he came back and beat later. So for anybody to say that John Jones is the GOAT and like completely and totally leave Georges St-Pierre out of that, it's criminal. In my opinion, right? Also, Demetrius Johnson, another one. Like, not just extremely dominant, doing shit that you don't see from anyone else, even dudes that are his size. Fucking insane. All right. I saw Joey Perp. I donated a couple dollars. Hope you got it. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. You know, for real. Whenever someone does something nice for me, I always feel like I don't show enough gratitude. I talked to Sam about this too when he gave me the gloves, which I actually have still in the box right here. I've used them a couple of times, you know, but I'm trying to make sure I take damn good care of those things. Really good care of those things. Like I talked about it with Sam too. Whenever someone does something nice for me, I'm always afraid that I'm not gonna seem grateful enough. You know, so like I want you to know, like, even though I'm generally a very even keeled dude, you know, I might be kind of flat. Like I'm not bullshitting you. Like I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for that, man. I don't care how much money it was, just thank you for sending it, you know. Um oh fuck. My throat is still kind of hoarse from having a yell a couple of days ago. Um, Maintaining discipline. I believe the person who asked me this asked me in a general sense, not necessarily even fighting related. The thing about discipline is that I'm not going to say discipline doesn't exist, but discipline is not what people think it is. Discipline is really just a habit. Discipline is being able to form a habit and then allowing that habit to continue without breaking it in a permanent manner. You know, going to the gym, for instance, right? I have to have the discipline to get through that first couple of weeks until it becomes a habit, right? And when it becomes a habit, I'm going to feel shitty if I do miss it, right? But every now and again, you know, you're going to be in a situation where you kind of got to skip it. You know, maybe you got something to do, or you feel an injury coming on, you're feeling sick that day, etc., right? Discipline is not allowing that to become the new habit, right? It's realizing that, okay, I have to skip today, but I am going to go tomorrow. It's not just talk. It's not just bullshit. I'm not just like, oh, I'll go tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, oh, I'll go tomorrow. That's not what it is. It's, okay, I have to skip today. I want to go. I tried to go, but I couldn't. I am 100% going tomorrow, or at least the next time that I have to go. All right. That's what it is. Discipline is really just what you have to do for the first 2 weeks, the first 2 to 4 weeks, I guess you could say. And then it's also what you have to do when there comes a day where you can't make it to that thing that you have to go to, right? Everything else, like, you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel like a piece of shit if you end up skipping it, if you end up missing it, right? And because of that, it's less of a discipline thing and more of just keeping the habit going thing. If that makes sense, right? I know, like, the alpha male, the Jocko Willink, Andrew Tate thing is to say, oh, dude, when you wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, that's my Jocko Willink impression. When you wake up in the morning, you get right up and you get after it. You get after it. Me, I wake up at 4:30. I drink my green juice. I stretch. I scream primally out my window. It wakes my neighbors. They're awake too. We're all awake. And I get up and I go right after it. I get right after it. Like, that's what people tend to want to hear when they ask about discipline. Discipline doesn't even have to be like that if you don't want it to be. It's literally just, I got to do it for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks. And once I get through that, I'm going to feel like an asshole if I skip it. And I won't want to feel like an asshole, so I'm just going to keep on going. I don't want to feel that shame, you know? And then on the days where I have to skip it, I'm going to not only feel that shame, but I'm also going to tell myself, like, this will not become the thing that happens. This will not become the new habit, right? If that makes sense. That's just my I guess you could say interpretation, or that's just the way that I look at discipline. Because me, like, every day I get home, like, I lay down for like 20 minutes and then I get up and I go to the gym. You know, I get home from work, I lay down 20 minutes. I get up, I go to the gym, and every time I lay down, I'm like, I don't want to get up. But I tell myself, like, nah, I'm going to feel like an asshole if I don't get up. Even if it's a day where Even if it's a day where I don't have to necessarily be there because I'm not teaching a class, I'm just taking a class, right? And it's not like I'm getting ready for a fight right now. I tell myself like, nah, because I'm gonna feel like an asshole if I don't get up and go to the gym. You know, the only time I skip the gym is for more gym, right? That's what my old wrestling coach, his name was Pat. He was actually in the UFC for a fight or two. Um, that's what he used to say is the only time you skip wrestling is for more wrestling, right? The only time I skip training is for more training. It, and hey, that's that. Oh boy, Airsoft Fatty versus Morrow Power Slap thoughts. Um, yeah, I can't say that I was a big fan of that. I got to be honest with you. If they wanted to have a power slap fight, that'd be one thing, right? But to my understanding of it, and I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw when the slaps were delivered, right? Um, I didn't see the whole thing, but to my understanding, Morrow was kind of underhanded about it just a little bit, right? It was kind of like, oh, hey, why don't you slap me in the face, haha, and then I'll slap you, and haha, don't hit me too hard, like that was kind of the attitude about it, from my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe Morrow was like, hit me as hard as you can, and I will too. Like maybe that's how he was, but to my understanding, it was kind of like a coy thing. Like Morrow knew that Chris wasn't just gonna, slap him like that, like really wind up and go bang. So Morrow kind of took the opportunity. He was sort of what was he? Opportunistic. Bottom line. Sorry about my chair, by the way. I'm sure you can hear it creaking. I need a new chair, but it's one of those things I don't think about until I'm in a situation like this. Oh yeah, what's going on? Who was that? Nate Roscoe. What's going on, man? Oh, what's going on, Donna? How you doing? I'm going through shit right now. I'm going through the stuff that people asked me. Um how I got started and advice for people who can't get motivated. Right away, advice for people who can't get motivated. Stop being a pussy. Like really, just stop it. Knock it off. You know? All you got to do is get up, go there and train. That's it. All right? Now, the way that I got started, okay, I've told the story a couple of times, but my dad was a boxer, not like a pro boxer, not even an amateur boxer. Basically, he look, he hung around in Boston. He grew up in and he hung around in Boston in the 1960s and 70s. Okay, Boston was rough back then. Street fights were the way of the land. They still are, depending on what part of Massachusetts you go to. People are kind of always trying to test each other and shit like that. Though nowadays Boston is more of like a yuppie, gentrified kind of place. It's kind of lost its working class identity. But uh, I think he kind of realized, like, oh shit, if I'm gonna be getting into fights, I better know how to fight. So he started boxing. He just did it as a hobbyist. And when I was young, he used to go to the gym. And in fact, I have it somewhere around here. I've showed this before. Yeah, I've showed this before. There I am. Yeah, there I am. Right. I've showed it before. That's me. My dad was at his gym. Not like his gym, but he was at the gym he would train at, and he would bring me along, right? From there, every now and again, he would hold pads for me. He taught me how to throw a jab, a cross, a hook, um, basic head movement, like literally, like okay, I'm gonna throw a hook, and I would duck under the hook by like literally doing a squat, you know. Um, but from there, I think that kind of put the bug inside of me. I was like, oh man, like this is really fun. I want to do this. I want to do it. I didn't ever think of fighting competitively until I was like, I want to say like 12, 13, 14 years old. I would go to a gym on occasion in between like baseball season and, other things like that. Um, I didn't get to fight until I was 18, though. In the meantime, like I said, I would go to. No, I was 19 when I actually got to fight, excuse me. I would go to boxing gyms in between seasons when it comes to like sports and things like that. Um, What else? What else? What else? What else? Wow, I'm blanking right now. I'm blanking on my own life story, dude. What the hell? Oh yeah, and then in addition to that, in high school, I started wrestling. I started wrestling in high school. I was dog shit. I'm still not even that good of a grappler now, and I'm not doing the like, oh, I suck. Don't you want to tell me I don't suck thing? That's not what I'm doing. I'm not that good of a grappler if I'm just being honest with you, you know? I'm nothing special, right? What I have is this. I got this, the thing between my head. I have a mind for the game. All right? I can tell you a million different ways to do a million different things, and I won't say I invented stuff, but I've discovered shit on my own, right? That you don't see a lot of people doing, right? But when it comes to actually being a grappler myself, I'm not that great, you know. And after that, um, yeah, I got into MMA, and part of the reason I got into MMA specifically instead of just boxing is because of the wrestling, but also because I was in a video production class my senior year, and we had computers because it's a vid pro class. Um, and instead of paying attention, I would look up Pride Fighting Championships videos. I'd look up K1 videos, like the golden age of K1 and Pride Fighting Championships. Crow Cop, Fedor, Vanderlei, like early Vanderlei, Sakuraba, etc., etc. Right? Even Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp was so fun to watch back in the day. It was so great. Ernesto Hoost. Right? I could go on and on and on. Andy Hug. Like, so many dudes. But because of that, I was like, oh man, like, yo, I want to what do I want to do? I want to get into this. I want to do this. And because of that, I ended up getting into MMA. And funny enough, the guy who was teaching that vid pro class, he's actually now a Jiu Jitsu black belt himself. And when I started training, I went to the gym that he was at. So I ended up training with the dude whose class I was like fucking around in, not paying attention, and looking up Pride Fighting Championships videos. It's funny how that kind of thing works. Really cool guy. Really 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 cool guy. I miss him. He's since moved on to another place, but it is what it is. I'm also just realizing something. Um, Thank you, Joey Perp and Errol Bear. I didn't notice the mini feed. I didn't notice that showed me when people donated stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, for real. Um, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Yeah. So there's that. Why did Charles Oliveira go from quitter to winner? Now, I don't have anything specific for Charles Oliveira. However, I will tell you about what has sort of happened with me over the years. Um, Now, if you look me up, you're going to notice that I only have one win on my record. Now, I could sit here, I could go through each fight, and I could tell you all about, like, um, like, oh, well, you see, what happened here was I pulled my dick. I was beating him up, but I pulled my dick, and they had to stop the fight. Like, I could sit here and tell you all about that. I could sit here and try and sell you on how, like, oh, I had fights at Smokers, and I did pretty well there, or, like, this, that, or the other thing, right? I could try and do that. But um, my record aside, right? Um, One thing I'm going to say is that I did not take it as seriously as I should have when I had first started. And because of that, I was soft, right? Um, and it was for a couple of different reasons. For one thing, I would get tired and I wasn't as well trained. I wasn't as well prepared as I should have been. But also, I didn't feel well prepared. I didn't feel as prepared as I should have been. And I'm talking like I would skip training to smoke weed with my boys. I would smoke. I wasn't doing the road work that I needed to do. Like that, just such stupid stuff. Such like just I was an idiot. I was being an idiot. Bottom line, right? And because of that, there were times, and I'm not just talking about in fights. I'm talking about in like jujitsu matches, wrestling matches. I'm talking about sparring. I'm talking about smokers and things like that, where I'd start getting hit and I'd start feeling tired and I'd basically just give up, right? Um, and eventually what happened was I lost or things didn't go my way, and I started wondering to myself, like what's going on here? What's the issue? Oh man, it's lagging, really? Oh, good. Oh, damn. All right. All right, I apologize for that. I didn't even know. And I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not some kind of dude who's like really good with that kind of stuff with tech stuff. So I apologize. I don't even know what to do about it. But bottom line was, I was smoking weed instead of training. I was smoking cigarettes. I wasn't training in the way that I should have. And because of that, when I would go to any kind of competition setting, whether it was a jiu-jitsu match, whether it was an MMA fight or a kickboxing match, wrestling, etc., right? Regardless of what it was, I would go in there and I would perform, but I wouldn't perform as well as one, I should have, but two, also because of the fact that I knew I didn't put the work in, there was kind of a subconscious thing where I was like, fuck, I didn't put the work in. I'm going to get tired any second now. I know that I'm gonna. I know it's going to happen. And because of that, I ended up giving up. If I'm being honest with you, I gave up. Right? Most of the fights that I lost, I gave up. I'll be honest with you. Right? Um, Not all of them. Not all of them. No, definitely not all of them. Okay? But there were a few where I was like, dude, man, shit. He didn't beat me. I beat me. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I can kind of understand, right? Me, even though on paper I haven't had the success that I've had, if you look at some of my fights, you realize that, like, okay, I do have the talent. I do have that tenacity where if I got to go out there and hurt somebody, I'll try my best to hurt them, right? And you'll notice that in my most recent fight, which I'm actually going to go over and I'm going to put on my Patreon, I'm going to put a reaction on the Patreon, a reaction to all of my fights on the Patreon, excuse me. You'll notice that I end up getting hurt. I injured my knee. But instead of just giving up, I was like, no, I can't fucking let it, I can't lose like that. I gotta at least get back up and try. And I ended up losing that fight. It sucked, right? It wasn't fun to lose, but I at least was able to kind of go home feeling like I didn't bitch out, right? I put in the work that I needed to, and when the going got tough, I tried to get going, even if it didn't quite work, right? Again, I'm telling you this to kind of try and illustrate a point, and that point is sometimes there's something that you did or did not do in the lead up to your training. Sometimes it takes you more than just um, one one training camp. Sometimes it takes you more than just one training camp to figure out what that was and stop it or to just get it under control, right? I smoked for years, I vaped after I smoked. I was vaping during training camps and stuff like that, because I was addicted. Um, Sometimes it takes you more than one training camp to get things like that under control. Um, Sometimes you just don't have the mindset that you need. And really, you just got to keep going until everything kind of clicks a little bit. And in the case of Charles Oliveira, something just clicked, right? Something, I don't know what that was. I can't really comment to that because, I'm not Charles Oliveira and I don't know, what his deal is. But something with him clicked. And because of that, for one thing, like, he isn't really in trouble that much anymore, if we're being honest with you. Like, when has he ever really been in trouble recently, besides versus Islam? If I remember correctly, he almost got knocked out by what's his face, Chandler, right? But then he ended up coming back and knocking Chandler out, right? Um, but regardless, like, something clicked, and when he is in trouble, he's able to just stay calm and get through it. but he's also not in as much trouble as he probably is anymore. You know, that's just my estimation. I'm kind of trying to explain something that I know what I'm trying to say, but it's hard for me to say. So I apologize if I was all over the place with that. Basically, long story short, something clicked, and now he's better off than he was. All right, so good for you, Charles. Charles. That's how you say his name in Brazil. It's Charles, or like Charles or some shit like that. Um, Fighters coming out of retirement, specifically Bigfoot Silva. Somebody asked me my opinion on fighters coming out of retirement. Is that a sign that fighters are underpaid and that they're desperate, or is it a sign that they just enjoy fighting too much? I think it's a little bit of both. I'll be honest with you. I don't think someone like Rampage Jackson, Quentin Rampage Jackson, would still be fighting if he didn't need a payday. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know it, but he was in this thing called Fight Circus in Thailand. It's basically like a joke promotion where they put on like weird shit. You can see their TikToks and their YouTube shorts and shit like that. That's where there was two small guys and then there was a dude in a suit and he was beating the shit out of the two small guys. That's where that's from. That's called Fight Circus. Him and Bob Sapp, right? Rampage, Quentin Jackson and Bob Sapp, they had a Siamese boxing match. Literally, they stood next to each other. They had a giant shirt put over them, right? They had one glove per person, right? So here's the sleeve of the giant shirt. The other arm is kind of trapped in, right? You can't move it or anything like that. Then the other dude is on the other side, and he's got the other arm. He's got the other arm, and that has a glove on it, right? Like they took part in something like that where there were two other guys who were in the same spot. I don't think they'd be doing that if they didn't need the money, right? I think Quentin Jackson. I think Quentin Jackson, as much as he plays as though he's just like a lovable goof, like the howling, wearing the chains and shit like that. He's an intelligent guy. Just looking at him, there's a modicum of intelligence there that if you're not careful, he'll catch you. You know, he knows how that looks. He knows it's ridiculous. He knows it's stupid. And I think that if he had a choice, if he didn't need the money, he probably wouldn't be doing it. Okay, now that being said, there are fighters that they just can't give it up. They just can't give it up under any circumstances. It just doesn't work for them. They just can't do it, right? I think Bigfoot is probably one of those guys who's a little bit like, oh, dude, I remember I beat Fedor. I just need to make some adjustments and everything will fall into place. That's kind of the opposite of with Charles Oliveira. I think Bigfoot hasn't won a fight in years. I think he's got like an 8 or 9 fight losing streak or something like that, if I remember correctly. Excuse me. I think people like Crow Cop, right? Crow Cop retired and then unretired, and then he retired again when he ended up having a fucking stroke. And they were like, yo, if you fight again, like, you're probably gonna die. You've already cut your life short enough. You're probably gonna die if you fight again. You can't keep fighting, dude. And he was like, fucking, all right, fine, Excuse me. I think Crow Cop is one of those guys who's like, dude, I just need it. I need it in my life. I need it in my life. Fedor, kind of similar. I don't think he is hurting for money. He's kind of buddy buddy with Putin. I'm sure Putin could set him up with like a job as like a top MMA guy in all of Russia if it came down to it. I don't think he needs the money. I think really what he just wanted was to continue fighting. Because fighting, like, I look back on when I was fighting. Not that I'm done fighting, but I am not as active as I used to be. I remember there was like a year or two where I was like really active. Like 2014 to like 2016 is when I had most of my fights. Nothing was better than getting out of the gym after a really hard training session, knowing that I had a fight coming up, and going and eating and just it was just nice. Fight camp is nice, right? It's fun. It's nice, even though it's stressful, even though you're scared, even though you're lying awake in bed at night. Like the act of fight camp itself is great, right? It's fantastic. And thank you, Philip Burke, as well. I just noticed that you that you donated as well. Thank you very much for that. Sorry I didn't get to it 9 minutes ago when you ended up, donating. I'm still getting used to this. I got to figure out how to have it show up on the thing, right? That's what I got to do. Um, but yeah, I think really it's both, right? Because a lot of fighters, they like to live large when they're making money. That's not a good idea. You should live small when you're making money. In addition to that, like just because you get paid $10,000 doesn't mean you keep $10,000. You get like $7,000 after the government takes out your taxes, and then you got to give a little bit of it to this guy, a little bit of it to that guy, a little bit of it to the other guy, and before you know it, you made $10,000 on the fight, but you had to give a little bit of it away until you only got like $3, $4, $5,000, and that's not fun. That's not cool. You don't want that. You don't like that. Um, hmm. Somebody asked me a question in Twitter, but I think I'm gonna try and make a video out of that if I can. Um, anyway, yeah, somebody said it's sad. Yeah, yeah, it is sad. It sucks. That's why, like, let's say tomorrow I was just to be like, you know what, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. That's it. I'm having a fight every month and a half, every month until I make it to the UFC. It's happening, boys. We're gonna make it. And then let's say I became like a legend of the game or some shit like that. I would have to absolutely positively make sure that I retire and stay retired and not fuck around. That's why I have a lot of respect for George St. Pierre. I have a lot of respect for I'm not a big Khabib fan. I don't like Khabib's persona. And as a fighter, I think he's really good. But I do think there's things you could say about his record and his ability as a fighter. I you know, talk about that a different day. I do respect them for being like, you know what, I'm retired. That's that. I'm not coming back unless it's for like something huge. And even then, like by this point, GSP, I think he's almost 40. I think he's probably in his late 30s. I don't think he's coming back for anything. I think GSP would more likely come back for a karate combat fight than anything else. I think he'd be like, whatever. I am a part of karate combat, and I will go ahead and I will have a match with karate combat. Like I think that would be the way that he does it. Um, if he was to come back, but I don't think he would come back because he knows, like, all right, I'm too old, I'm too slow. All right, I might look good for my age, I'm too old, I'm too slow. All right, there's some hungry ass kid who doesn't have a quarter of the shit that I have, who he's viewing me like a lion views a piece of steak, and he like I really think I'm gonna come back and beat that kid. No, no. He knows that. That's what he's thinking. You know? Um, is that a heckin' epic Chechen? Yeah, that's like yeah. You know, it's it's like a Reddit tier UFC fans, Reddit tier martial arts fans are the ones who like Khabib. All right. And I'm not like, again, like, I don't mind him as a fighter. There are things that you can say about his record, and there are things that you can say about the people he fought and how he fought them. You can say these things, okay? But with all those things said, like, I did enjoy watching him fight, right? But anyone who is like really, really, really into him, either one, it's like a Muslim thing where they're being racist against everybody else. They're really just using Habib as a way to kind of flaunt their feelings of superiority over everybody who is not them, who is not a Muslim or specifically like an Arab or something like that. Even though Habib is not an Arab, he's a Slav, right? But whatever. Um, it's either that or it's somebody who really doesn't know anything, but they just desperately want to feel like they know something. So they're like, oh, Habib. Oh, heckin' Habibarino. Heckin' Habibi. Um, I'm just looking around trying to see. Bro, is it true Sean Bay was going to do MMA for a bit, but couldn't get the BJJ part down? Yeah, I mean, he did do MMA for a while. I actually saw, I think I don't know if it was his first fight, um, but it was one of his early fights. I think it was either one of his first amateur fights or one of his first pro fights because I'm pretty sure he went pro. He knocked the dude out in like 7 seconds. I didn't even know he was gonna be on the card. I went there to support this girl that I was, kind of trying to get with at the time. She was on the card, and turns out Sean was fighting on the card, and he goes out, and I mean, I knew he was gonna get the KO. I just didn't think it was gonna happen as quick as it did. It was really cool to see that. But yeah, he did MMA for a little while. He fought a guy that I fought. If you want to call what I did fighting the guy, he knocked me out pretty quick. I ran into a right hand very shortly after the ref said fight. I'm just being honest. It's out there. You can find the documentation of it. I'm not gonna hide that. Um, so like he did it. I don't know how good his jujitsu was, but it was good enough. Because he did have plenty of wins. Like Donna, go on tapology.com and just look up Sean Bay, and I'm sure you'll be able to see his record, you know. Um yeah, yeah, that's it though. I'm trying to make sure I read your comments, guys, but I also have this other stuff that I told people I would go through. That's why I'm not like really going hard on that stuff. I just happened to see Donna's comment as I'm like, looking up and down on all of it and shit like that. Um, who wins, Jake Paul or Nate Diaz? Good question. I'm not sure. I got to be honest with you. It depends on how serious Nate Diaz takes it. I know that one of his training partners, one of the guys he got sparring with, was like, "Oh, he's out of shape. He's 220 pounds." That could just be lies, right? That could just be them playing it up and things like that. Um, you never know, you know. Plus, if they're fighting at if they're not fighting at 170, if they're fighting at uh, you know, if they're fighting at like over 200 pounds or something like that, then it's like whatever. Who cares if he's 220? That like, what do you want him to go in there at 170 pounds and get bodied by the 225, 230 pound fucking dude? Like, no, he ain't gonna do that. So to sit there and be like, oh, I heard, it's like, yeah, sure, you heard it, yeah, okay. You know what I heard? I heard your mom was on her way to my house right now. I heard your mom was coming. That was so fucking dumb. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not gonna say that I have an official guess or prediction or anything like that. I'm just saying let's see if Nate Diaz shows up to fight. He always shows up to fight, but I mean it shows up prepared. I guess I should say, right? Um, Finding a reputable coach. You see, this is an interesting one. Because when it comes to like a lot of martial arts and things like that, finding a reputable coach is a little bit harder. But when it comes to boxing and Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu, it's typically a little bit easier. One thing you can do, right, is you can typically go in and you can ask somebody, who taught you? Where did you learn? Right? And some Jiu-Jitsu guys, they'll have their lineage all the way back to the Gracies, depending on like who they are, how much they know about it and stuff like that. They'll be able to tell you, oh yeah, I learned from Joao Vieira, who learned from Carlos Barbosa, who learned from Junior Dos Reis, who learned from Johnny Churrasco, like etc. etc. Like um really it's almost hard to find like a bad coach. But the thing is, it's not. It really depends on what kind of definition of bad you're using, right? A bad coach is in their technique is bad. It's really hard to find. But a bad coach, insofar as they don't care about you, they don't care to teach you. They don't care if you get hurt or anything like that. Those are actually really easy to identify. If you walk into a gym and before you know anything, they're like, hey, sign the waiver. You want to spar? It's sparring day. You're going to spar. Not a good idea. All right. Probably not a good coach. If you show up and they have you on like pads or the bag or anything like that, and they're just like, all right, throw a jab, cross, and a kick, and they don't show you what that is or how to throw it, that's probably not a good sign. If they're showing you stuff, but they're not explaining why they're showing it to you, they're not explaining what it's for, they're just kind of without explaining being like, okay, do this. And they're not telling you why, right? They're not making it known as to why you need to do that. They might not be the best coach, right? If they kind of blow you off, or if they're a little bit too excited to get you into like the ring or something like that, then they are probably not that good of a coach, and you should probably distance yourself from them, you know? I actually spoke to someone recently. I don't know if they're here right now, but I spoke to somebody recently. Oh, and thank you, Caden Cressman, for the donation as well. Thank you very much, man. But I spoke to someone recently who was having this problem. They went to a gym 3 times over the last like month or so. Yeah, they said they went there like 3 times over the last month or so, and all 3 times they ended up sparring. Only one of those times did they actually do any legit like training, any like basics, any fundamentals, anything like that. They only did it once out of the 3 times that the dude showed up. And I basically told the dude, yo, turn and run, get away from there. But the guy seemed as though he was like, oh, like, I kind of want to be here, though. And I just don't think the guy really understands that I don't know anything yet. So then I was like, okay, well, I mean, maybe you should just talk to him, you know, like, because that can be how boxing is sometimes. Sometimes people don't give a shit to ask you. They expect you to approach them, and they expect you to prove to them that, like, you're worthy of being coached, which is so stupid. It's so ridiculous because at the end of the day, like, you're paying to go there. You're paying them. So you're paying them just to not get taught. It's like foolish, right? I told that dude, who actually, it was Philip Burke. Glad I could help you, dude. I told him, like, all right, if you're really that dead set on going here, if it's the only place you feel like you can go, what I would do is I'd just go in there and I'd start asking him questions. Hey, what should I do here? Hey, I actually don't know how to throw a jab. I don't know how to throw a cross. I've been having a hard time keeping my hands up. Are these things you can help me with? And sure enough, he did that. And the guy that he was talking about was like, he helped him out. He actually helped him out, you know? So sometimes it's just that the culture at a gym is a little bit weird. But by my standard, that would make it a bad gym. I shouldn't have to walk in, hand you money, and then have to chase you. You know, I should walk in, hand you money, and then you should be like, okay, this is a dude who goes to my place. He is a representative of my gym. Fucking, I want him to know what he's doing. I don't want him to go to another gym and be like, yeah, dude, I train at Bumfucks Boxing in fucking Boise, Idaho, dude. And I just want to get some sparring in. And then like you jump in there and you're throwing punches like that. You know, like that'd be insane. I would hate to know that somebody went somewhere repping my gym and then they looked like a fucking asshat. You know, it's a point of pride for me that you're gonna go out into the world, and if somebody talks to you about it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I train at this place, and I'm actually pretty good. You know. Jeez, dude. What do you mean? You want me to coach you, bro? Like, why, dude? Dude, really? Dude, you gave me like $100, dude. Now you want me to coach you? Dude, like, people like you are fucking... Can't make anybody happy today, dude. It's ridiculous. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, that's it. But there was one more that I want to take a look at real quick. Twitter communities. Get the hell out of here. Maybe for the younger crowd, setting yourself up for financial independence in your 20s. Credit scores, responsible spending, not blowing out credit cards, just something so they don't fuck themselves up when they want to buy a house in the future. Like me, LMAO. I fixed it now. That was somebody on Twitter who responded to my thing, who responded to me, um, asking what I should talk about tonight. Uh, Dunna says, "Dude, you look like the guy from the Dan Band. What's the Dan Band? You should you. I mean, I could Google it myself, I'm sure, but you should tell me. You should inbox me what the Dan Band is. Um, Anyway, setting yourself up for financial independence. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not an expert on this. All right, I've made mistakes too. Luckily, I didn't get myself into like crippling debt that was not useful to me in any way, shape, or form. Any debt that I have put myself in has been towards the pursuit of something. You know, like when I was doing when I was trying to do that series on my channel where I basically like, did Fight Quest, right? I would do like I'd put like a I'd put like a what would I put? I'd put like lodging on a credit card, right? Like I'd use a credit card to pay for like a um a hotel, right? Something like that. Where it's like, okay, I'm here to try and make a video. So it's not like it's on a technical level that's a business expense, even though this isn't a business for me right now anyway. Um or like buying this computer, right? I put that on credit, right? Because I didn't want to spend $1,000 out of pocket at that time. I had the money to do so, but I didn't want to get rid of all that money at once on one thing. So I was like, okay, I'll pay it off slowly. And right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm still paying it off, but I'm only like it's like $30 a month. It's like nothing bad at all. Who even cares, right? Um, that's one thing that I tried to make sure that I did is that if I was going to take on debt, first off, I haven't really taken on that much debt to begin with, right? Second off, like if I was going to take on debt, it was going to be in the pursuit of something that was going to be good for me, that was going to help me out, that was going to propel me forward. And I mean, without this computer, I wouldn't be streaming and talking to you guys right now. I wouldn't have made any of the videos that I made, etc., etc., right? It's a small thing, but like it grows, right? Like Sam, again, like Sam has used debt to his advantage. Now, the way that he does it, I don't necessarily know if I personally would want to do it that way, right? But whenever he would take out debt, he would be using it to try and build something. It wasn't just geez, dude, like I want like $1,000 of like McDonald's, bro. It wasn't like that. Um, Another thing, don't waste your money on stupid shit. I wasted so much money on weed. It was ridiculous. Like, I wanted to buy into Bitcoin early. I'm talking like 2012, 2013, 2014, right? Back when it was cheap. And I set up a wallet. I forget, it might have been Mount Gox, which, like, that would have been bad, right? But in hindsight, it would have been bad. But I set up a wallet. Um, Damn, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. I'm trying to remember details that aren't even really that important. So I guess I'll just move on. I set up a wallet, right? I told myself, yo, oh dude, oh geez, dude, I'm gonna put like $100 in like a week, bro. Like, dude, I work so much at my fucking convenience store job, bro. Like, I'm always here, bro. Like, I'm working like 48, sometimes more than 50 hours a week, bro. Like, I get so much money from this place, dude. I'm living with my parents still. I don't gotta pay for shit. Dude, I'm gonna put so much money into this Bitcoin shit. And then later on, bro, it's gonna balloon, dude. And I'm gonna be rich. And as I said, I opened up a fucking account. I opened up a wallet and I smoked my money. I spent my money on weed. I spent my money on fast food, on ordering out with my buddies, on booze, on all of this shit. All of this stupid shit that I did not need, that now I'm looking back and I don't want it because I don't smoke it. In fact, I kind of hate weed now. To be honest with you. Weed, like, I can't stand weed. I can't stand stoners. You smoke a little weed here and there, that's fine. Stoners, the weed leaf, the pot leaf, fucking shirt wearing dickheads. I don't like those people, you know. Even back when I was smoking like 4, 5, 6 times a day. No shit. That's how bad it was for me. Even back when it was like that bad, like I wasn't like oh, I gotta buy socks that have fucking bud plants on them, dude. That have fucking weed leaves on them, bro. That's gonna be so fucking cool, dude. You know. That was stupid. That was really dumb. Invest and invest wisely. I'm not going to tell you what to invest in. I will tell you what I invest in, though. Ironically, I invest in weed. um, all my money is in weed, and it's strictly a fiscal choice. It's not. I'm not. I am. I'm not married to weed on an emotional level or anything like that. I'm not investing emotionally. The reason why my money is in weed, and this is not advice to you, I'm literally just telling you what I'm doing right now and why I believe it's a good choice for me. All right, this is not advice. Don't take it as advice. And I've talked about this before actually, but my money is in weed because one day, most likely in our lifetime, and probably within the next 5 years, if we're being honest, weed will be legalized federally in the United States. And when that happens, the stocks are going to go through the moon, not to the moon. They're going to blast a hole into the moon, right? They're going to be going into outer space. And because of that, I'm getting in early, where every idiot boomer and every bag holder in the world is going to be jumping on when they wake up and they see front page of the paper, 420 blaze it, weed is now legal. When they end up seeing that, they're going to jump in and I'm going to jump out a day or two later. And I'm going to fucking make off like a bandit. You know, that's the theory. That's my theory. Okay? Could I be wrong? Yeah, I definitely could be wrong. All right? Because I don't know shit. All right? But I'm just saying, like, be strategic. Don't just invest because you're like, oh, dude, I heard that Crazy Glue is doing well right now. I should invest. If you hear that Crazy Glue stocks, if you hear that Junior Caramels stocks is doing well, it's probably too late. It's probably too late for you. Because they're not telling you that they're going to do well and that you should invest now. They're saying that they are doing well, which means the people who are gonna make money already invested, you know? Yeah. I mean, just don't waste money. Bottom line. Don't waste money. A lot of this stuff is stuff that you'll hear from Sam and Nick too. Like, don't get involved with somebody who's gonna drain you of your resources and things like that. Don't co-sign on a car or a house with like a toxic girlfriend or something like that. You know, that's like pretty much a direct quote from like Nick Rocheford, right? Just don't be a fucking idiot. It's that simple. Like if somebody else was doing it and you would look at them and be like, that fucking idiot, don't do it yourself. Simple, easy. All right. Yeah, and just save, save, save. And another thing, I buy precious metals. All right, I like silver. All right, you'll see if you check my Twitter. So Sullivan MMA. It's right here, right? If you check my Twitter, you'll see I retweeted Jet earlier when he was like, "Oh, dude, buy silver, don't be a pussy." It's great advice. It's fantastic advice, right? Um, but yeah, what made you stop? I partied too hard and I crashed. You know, easiest way to say it. That's something that I'd rather save the details of that for a patron exclusive. There's a lot of things that I could and would talk about that I would rather keep for Patreon, if I'm being 100% honest with you, you know, because I don't necessarily want those out in the open. You know, even the video that I put out, right? The video that I put out is not that bad, but I am a little bit nervous that I'm gonna go into the gym tomorrow, and after what I put out on Instagram today, where I was like, "Fuck you, jiu-jitsu practitioners," I'm honestly a little bit afraid my coach is gonna be like, "Hey, what the hell was that?" You know, I am a little bit afraid of that. I'm not gonna lie, right? And I'm gonna have to explain to him like, "Look, that was like a 2 second blurb. Like, you can watch the whole video. You'll understand what I'm talking about." You know, and if he doesn't, then oh well. But like, it's there's certain things I don't want out in the open, right? For one reason or another. Not just because it's like, oh man, it might look bad on me, but like if I'm talking about somebody else, right? I don't necessarily want them to have their stuff out in the open, even if I'm not talking like, even if I'm not like, yeah, I was hanging out with John Doe and he whipped his pee out, like even if it's not like that. Um, dude, did it? We back, and then somebody said F. Did it do the thing again? Did it do the thing again? Did it lag again where they dropped frames? I gotta figure out what causes that, and I gotta figure out how to fix it because I've done a little bit of googling and I've done stuff like that, and like I've messed around and it still does it. I've messed around with it to try and get it to stop, and it still does it. But I have one thing that I wanted to go over with you gentlemen today, with you ladies and gentlemen today. Oh, geez. I did the wrong one. Un momento, por favor. All right, so I have something that I want to go over with everybody. I want to do a quick analysis. All right, and we're gonna go ahead. We're going to do that. There's a video, right? And I'll talk about it a little bit. Actually, no, hold on. I remember how I was planning on doing this. All right. Presto changeo. Uh-oh. Oh, duh. All right, here we are. So it started up on its own. Now, what we have here, okay, hold on. Now, what we have here, as you can see, there is a small child. There is what looks to be a mom or a grandmom. And then there is a dude over here, okay? Now, we're going to go ahead. We're just going to look at it once, and then I'll go ahead and I'll talk to you about it. All right, so the older woman just kind of looking around. I don't know what they're all looking at. This dude over here, he's kind of sort of just walking over in a weird way, and he is attacking. He's attacking. He's going. Huh, interesting. I just noticed something. That I want to try and figure out. But, weird. All right, so he ends up trying to grab the child. The child ends up getting away, and so does the assailant. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about what happened here and what went wrong, okay? So, as I said, in the beginning, there was, we're just going to call her mom, all right? It looks more like it could be a grandma, all right? But we're going to call her mom, okay? We're going to call her child, and we're going to call him, just dude, all right? Just dude. Just dude, all right? I don't want to hear none of it, okay? That's not what this is, all right? Now... Obviously, you can't walk around assuming the worst of everybody, but you have to be aware, and you have to keep an eye out, and you have to know what the people around you are up to, right? You might not to the point where you're like watching them like that, but you gotta be aware, and you gotta know what's going on, and you have to recognize weird shit as it's happening, or well, as it's happening, yeah, but. When I say as it's happening, what I really mean is you have to recognize the signs of a potential attack before they end up happening. Now, she right now is looking at this guy, and that dude is just sort of sitting out there, right? So I understand that she wasn't like, uh-oh, there's a guy right there. We got to be careful, right? But at the same time, also, I'm the kind of person where when I'm with somebody who I feel protective of, who I feel like I have to keep an eye out for one thing, I always try to make sure I position them in a place where I can make sure that I'm between them and the threat, whatever that threat may be. It's kind of like there's a chivalrous aspect to it. I'm not trying to say that it's like, oh, it's chivalry. I'm chivalrous. What I really mean by that is, excuse me, you used to see that sort of thing with like men and women, right? And it's not just a men and women thing, right? I would do the same thing with like my child, for instance, right? Whether it was a son or a daughter. Walking down the street, the guy gets on the side of the sidewalk that's closest to the traffic because, if a car ends up coming, it's more likely to hit him than it is the girl, right? Beyond that, you're more likely to be able to grab the girl and dive out of the way, if she's on the inside and you're on the outside. It's a little bit less of a movement and things like that, right? So, while I understand that at the time there was no threat involved, the way that this woman is just kind of like, the way that she acts when it starts getting a little bit weird is a little strange, and to me, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, this is getting a little weird, and I'd probably put a hand on the girl, my daughter, and I'd probably pull her behind me, right? But that's just me. So we're gonna go ahead. All right, so she has deemed that he's not a threat. She's looking around. Now, this guy, it's kind of hard to see, but it almost looks like he's kind of eyeing them, either that or he's just looking off into the distance. Maybe he's even kind of side-eyeing them, like not like looking straight at them, not quite looking in the distance, but kind of like, just kind of looking like that, trying not to be conspicuous about it. But regardless, right, he's still over there. All right, so at this point, he has basically noticed them. You could see his face. He's literally looking at them. You could even see his eyes. And he starts walking towards them. Now, we can kind of get a good look at him here, right? We can kind of get a good look at what he's wearing and stuff like that. The shoes are a weird thing, and that's something that you should really look out for in terms of people. What are they wearing and how are they wearing it? Because people tend to wear their mindsets. They tend to wear their intentions. Somebody like a bank robber is typically going to wear a mask, right? If somebody's going into a bank and they have a mask on, now I know COVID kind of changed that a little bit, but if they have like a full-on ski mask with sunglasses on, let's say, chances are they're not just there to make a deposit, right? They're there to make a withdrawal, if you catch my drift. And because of this, if somebody walks into a bank with a ski mask and sunglasses, especially if they're wearing like gloves and if their hands are concealed and things like that, you can kind of guess like, all right, this guy's robbing the bank. Just like with this guy who's wearing shoes basically as though they're like slip-ons or flip-flops or something like that. And then certain other things that he's got in his hand, like he's basically got stuff that would kind of identify him as either homeless or just not well, right? So he's hanging around the area. He's clearly, at best, down on his luck, and he might be a little bit feral because he's been on the street. At worst, he's just straight up bonkers, right? You should be aware of that, and you should be a little bit, I don't want to say nervous, because I don't want people to feel paranoid. That's not what I want with this. What I want people is to be alert. I want them to know what and who is around them. I'm not saying this guy is a what. I'm just saying, in general, you need to know what and who is around you and the kind of vibe that they give off. Now, he has started moving towards them already. They started to kind of like move back into the house from what it looked like. But they're still pretty much outside of the house still. We're going to go ahead. We're going to go. So the girl has moved into the house, but she's moved back out of the house. The woman, the mom, has stepped into the house, and she has no idea that this dude is even right here. And as I said, he's closer now. Look at him, right? Actually, is that a woman? I'm not 100% sure. I gotta be honest with you. Look at this person. All right, let's not misgender anybody here. Okay, look at this person. Right? They don't look well. Right? The look on their face. All right, the body language, the stuff that they have with them that they're carrying. Again, shoes without any kind of laces or anything like that, or socks. They don't look well. They don't look like they're the type of person that you would want to be around for very long. Okay? And this woman, after she just decided that this person is not a threat at all, just off of like looking for 2 seconds, she doesn't even know that this person is stalking her right now. So we're going to go ahead. As you can see, before we do go ahead, the girl is still halfway in the door. And I'm not sure... I can't do that. I figured I could do the thing where you create a box. I'm not sure. I don't think that is the other woman right here, right? I don't think that's the other woman. In fact, I think that's the hair on the little girl. So this little girl is still like halfway in the door, and the mom is like just kind of doing her thing, whatever it is, right? All right, so that's a dude. That's a dude. Now that we're getting a better look. Again, just take another look. Now, the foot is in the door right away. As soon as the foot was placed into the door should have been slammed shut. There shouldn't be any kind of talk. There shouldn't be anything. I don't know if they really spoke at all. I know that this guy just said something. I don't know what he said. I don't even really know the backstory behind this. I just know what happened, right? But as soon as the foot was in the door should have slammed shut, right? No talk, no nothing, because that's him trying to make sure that the door doesn't shut, so that he can either, at least, so that he can keep talking to someone who's not interested. And this guy is not entitled to those people's time. So it's like, if you're technically trespass, right? If on a technical level you're gonna trespass just so you can talk to me, no, I'm gonna slam the door. And if your foot gets caught in it, tough shit, dude. But let's go ahead. I think it's gonna pop off real quick after I press play. All right. So it popped off, right? He put his foot in the door. He said something real quick. When he realized that the door was still closing, he ended up trying to push his way in. She shouldn't have just closed the door. She should have slammed the door as hard as she could, right? But instead, she just kind of was like, whatever she did, whatever she said. And here we are now. This dude is trying to make his way in. And right now, he's succeeding. So he pushes his way in, as you can see. Now, hold on. Let's bring this back a little bit. Let's bring this back. Let's bring it back a little bit further. What is that? What is that right there? What is that handle? That looks like the handle of some kind of tool, whether it's a machete, whether it's a hammer, whether it's a hatchet. It looks like some kind of tool that could be used to murder someone with. So this guy is armed. And right now, he's not really doing anything. Well, he's doing something, obviously, but he's not doing anything with the potential weapon that he has, but he's still being aggressive, right? And it's all because this woman was irresponsible. It is irresponsible to sit there, peek outside your house, see somebody there, and not be like, oh, all right, I should keep an eye on that guy. It's irresponsible when you have a child with you to just be like, la-di-da-di-da, it's all good, it's okay, it's all right. Nobody ever does anything bad. Nobody ever does anything bad. I'm the protagonist of the world. Nothing bad could happen to me. There's a sketchy dude hanging out. Excuse me. He's coming up. There's a sketchy dude hanging out. He's coming over. He's trying to get into my house. No, it's fine. But all right, let's go. So he entered into the house, right? He ended up pulling her by the hair and slamming her on the ground. And the girl was hanging on to her, and that's why she ended up getting pulled out as well. She could be seriously injured, right? From here, all you have is to fight. That's it, right? But, I mean, this is a soft woman, and, like, I'm not trying to be, like, mean to the victim of this crime. I'm saying it because it's true. This woman is not a fighter. She's never been in a fight. She never thought that anything like this would happen to her. And because she took her safety for granted, she is now in this predicament. I don't take my safety for granted, and that's why I don't end up in predicaments like that typically, right? I keep my mouth shut, I mind my own business, but I'm aware of my surroundings, right? And I will be honest with you, it does help that I'm a scary looking redhead, all right? I gotta be honest about it. The best advice that I could give you in terms of self-defense, other than mind your own business and don't be where trouble starts, is don't look like a bitch. Because criminals, they aren't looking for a fight. They're looking for a victim, okay? They're looking for someone who's not going to fight back. And if you look like you'll fight back, even if you're a woman, right? If she looked like she was going to put up a real fight, he would have been like, no, I ain't doing this. I'll find some other woman, some other old woman and her daughter to mess with. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to keep it going. All right, so here we are. He's trying to kidnap the child. So the child ended up getting away, basically, and only because, right? Only because She only got away because he was not that committed to trying to take her. By the time he ended up getting her down the street and she ended up running, there was something about it. Maybe it was the fact that he had to fight so hard for it. He couldn't just walk over, yoke her up, and run. He had to commit a fucking home invasion, right? He had to do a home invasion and then assault somebody just to get the child, right? Um, it's messed up, you know. But the lesson here, okay, is one, don't just fight. You got to be ready to see what is happening. You got to be ready to see what goes on. You got to be ready for that weird looking guy who's 10 feet away from you to make a move at you. You have to be able to recognize when somebody is weird, when somebody looks weird, when somebody's acting weird. And you have to be able to recognize and notice in general, right? Because this woman, even if she didn't notice the guy was headed there to begin with, right? She didn't even have the opportunity to try and recognize the signs because she didn't see anything in the first place. But you have to be able to recognize the signs of when somebody's going to try and do something. When somebody's kind of drifting towards you when they shouldn't be. When somebody's kind of lingering around you when they shouldn't be. When somebody's trying to conceal their face in their hands when there's really no reason for you to do that not you, but them to do that. When somebody is moving towards you in a way that, or moving around you in a way that signifies that they're about to go for you, right? A classic example is the sucker punch, right? If somebody turns away from you like that when they're in you, that's what he's trying to do. So I'm not going to let him finish disguising it, because once he's successfully disguised the motion, I'm going to get whacked. So I might end up pushing him in a situation like that just to interrupt it, right? Or I might get ready to go bang to catch the punch, right? And then act however I got to act afterwards. That's really the big issue with a lot of people when it comes down to it. Oh, nope. Oh, hold on. There we go. Yeah, Impetus said the kid fought back more than the mom. Yeah, you're right. Oh man, the stream's buffering again. Damn. I'm gonna try and figure that out because I would like to stream more, but I don't want to sit here and have streams where every 20 minutes is gonna buffer like that, you know? All right. Well, I hope it's there. Bottom line, like a lot of people, I'm not victim blaming here. All right, but a lot of people, they end up in fucked up situations not because they are not because like everybody else is an asshole, but because they don't pay attention, right? I mean, yeah, that guy was more than an asshole. He was worse than an asshole, right? That guy who ended up trying to do that, obviously, right? But when it comes down to it, if that mom was a little bit more on the ball, when it comes down to it, if that mom was a little bit less of an airhead about it, if she had just decided, you know what, all right, okay, if she had done that, she would have realized, oh shit, something's up, and she would have yoked the kid up, slammed the door, locked it, and then she should have, but then she also could have called the police. She could have got that dog, because it's a golden retriever. Golden retrievers are pretty docile. They're pretty nice and shit like that. But it doesn't mean that they aren't like vicious when they have to be. They will get you if it comes down to it. You know, they will do that. It's just, that's a traumatic experience that both of them will not get over. The woman's going to be afraid of people, right, for a long time. That girl is going to grow up not trusting anyone at all. You know, she's always going to have that fear of somebody breaking into her house and trying to take her away again. You know, she's not going to be able to sleep that night. She's probably not going to be able to sleep for a month or two. She's going to be scarred for life. And one of the awful parts about it is that she's probably going to turn that back around. She's going to be like, you know, oh, men suck, men suck, men suck, you know, instead of realizing that, like, yeah, like, you know, that guy sucks, you know, but what it really was is that, like, you know, that dude was an asshole and you didn't pay attention to the asshole as he was being an asshole. You know, again, not to victim blame in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, would you rather get your head smashed on the pavement? Would you rather be yoked up by some guy who's gonna try and run off to do whatever he wants to with you? Would you rather have that and also have the ability to be like, oh, everybody sucks? Or would you rather not have had that happen, and you also take responsibility for the fact that it didn't end up happening? If that makes sense, what I'm saying, right? I would rather the second one, right? Yeah, maybe I could ask Jet. Maybe I could figure it out. But yeah, so it's been an hour and 45 minutes. I meant to only stream for an hour. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's crazy. I'll read a few comments, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do my thing. I'll go ahead and I'll get out of here. Not entirely related, but it kind of shocks me how prevalent drugs are among my peers. Just wild and kind of makes me disgusted. Not that I like to lord it over people who have vices, but that's how it is. Yeah. We're at a point in history where drugs are slowly being decriminalized and legalized. It's only a matter of time until cocaine is legit legalized in fucking somewhere like Portland or Seattle or something like that. Same with heroin. I'm not talking decriminalized. I'm talking like straight up legalized. Like you can buy it at like a gas station or a dispensary or something like that. It's only a matter of time. Mark my words. It'll happen. It will happen. All right. We wonder why drug use is like the worst that it's been ever. It's because the drugs are more potent, and we have this weird idea that like in order to combat drug usage, we have to be okay with people using drugs. That's not how it works at all. Not even a little bit, right? Everybody's using drugs, everybody's trying drugs. And it's just it's not good, man. There's better things to do with your time. I don't mean to sit here and be like, why would you do drugs when you could read a book? That's not what I'm saying. Like, there's so many more good experiences to be had out in the world than sitting in a fucking apartment building with your boy, tripping sack looking at a fucking wall, or like sitting in the woods with a group of friends smoking weed, and like every time you hear a stick crack, you're like, oh, is that the police? Is that the police? Dude, is that the cops? It's legal in your state, but you're high as fuck, and you're like, fuck, is that the cops? Is that the cops? Dude, we're gonna get busted. Bro, we're gonna get busted. Dude. You're like 25. You're 25, weed is legal in your state, and you're like, dude, that's the cops, man. We gotta get out of here, dude. They're gonna call my mom. Excuse me. It's insane. It's fucking bonkers. There's already plenty of legal hemp THC derivatives available in most states. I'm sure there are. Everybody's talking about weed. I don't want to just talk about weed. A guy from my gym won a fight on the Adrian Broner undercard on like a week notice, and I'm pumped up on that. He was not supposed to win. Wow, Peach Cobbler. That's really cool. Congrats, dude. For real. The Dan Band from The Hangover. Okay, I'll look that up because I watched The Hangover years ago. It's been so long. Hey Scott, I just started boxing and I suck at it and I'm totally unathletic. What should I do to fix this? Keep showing up? Shyster, if you're still here, yeah, just keep showing up. So many people have asked me the same questions. Like, oh, I just started and I'm not that good. Yeah, of course you're not that good. You just started. What'd you think? You're gonna be fucking, you think you're gonna be main event on Showtime tomorrow? Get out of here. Just keep on showing up, dude. That's all you gotta do. That's it. You'll get more athletic if you work on your athleticism. Okay? You'll get better at boxing if you work on your boxing. It's that simple. People asking me how I get started. Very simple. Or how to get started in boxing or MMA. You show up to a gym, you sign up, you pay your dues, you show up and you train day in, day out. That's it. That's all you got to do. Literally that simple. There's no shortcuts because there doesn't need to be any shortcuts because it's that simple. It's from A to B to C. Um, I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything that I really feel like I should answer. You know, that's why I'm kind of scrolling back up. Uh, uh, all right, Coach. What? Oh, I already answered that. All right, so I'm getting back. I'm getting back to things that I already answered. I'll go ahead and I'll see what the next one. Got any tips on joining a Muay Thai gym? You see, I just answered that. Go ahead, show up to one, sign up, and train. Simple. What kind of content are you planning on for the YouTube channel? Hold on one sec. I have a video on Bobby Gunn that's going to be coming out soon. I have a video on why traditional martial arts became shitty or how they became shitty. I'm going to be talking about a couple of the theories behind that. I have more fish tank stuff that I just kind of want to throw out there so that I can have it there for posterity. Um, I have a video on a mishap that occurred in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Somebody broke his neck. I want to talk about why it happened. And I want to talk about, how we can avoid it, or not necessarily how we can avoid it, but I just want to talk about how we need to try and make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then for the Oh yeah, I have a video on Sado Karate that I have to start working on. I also have a patron exclusive on Sado Karate that I'm working on, and then a patron exclusive on Charlie Zelenov that I have to work on, as well as a main channel video on Charlie Zelenov. Those are just the ones that are in the near future. Okay. I do have other videos that are going to be coming out. Other than that, I have a bunch of different stuff. But that's what I got. Um, I would be worried about carrying a knife because I don't have any skill with it. Would like to not be stabbed with my own knife. You don't need that much skill to stab somebody to death. I'll be 100% honest with you. Okay. All the weird like, aha, I have the knife now. All that weird shit, right, is bullshit. Even if you do get a knife taken away from you, chances are it's gonna only be after you've stabbed the guy 3 to 5 times, right? And I'm not telling you to stab people. In fact, I don't carry knives. I don't have knives because it's really hard to defend the use of a knife in court, right? There's this dumb notion that should not exist, but it does, that if you carry a weapon around with you, specifically something like a knife, it means you were looking for trouble. That's what it is. You were looking for trouble, and you were happy when that guy tried to rob you because that meant you felt like you could pull out your knife and stab the guy, right? That's what they'll argue in court, and that is what they will get away with because there's been thousands of cases probably where that has been a thing. There's been at least like 1,000 cases where they've successfully argued that even though it was like clearly self-defense, right? They were able to convince a judge and or a jury that it was actually premeditated murder because when you picked up the knife and you put it in your pocket, you were thinking, I'm gonna stab somebody today. It's gonna happen. I wish a mother trucker would, right? They think that they argue. It's not even that they think that they know that it's bullshit, but a prosecutor doesn't care. A prosecutor doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about the truth. He cares about getting a conviction because that's how he furthers his fucking career, right? Um, you know, he's gonna argue that you were looking for trouble, you know. What are your favorite heavy bag combos? I don't really have heavy bag combos that I stick to. I just sort of throw whatever I throw. I always free flow. I use the heavy bag to try and develop power, and also to work combinations, but not like 3-2-3 kick, right? Not like that. To work combinations with power, right? And to really just kind of treat the bag like it's a person that I'm fighting. I push the bag, I step to the side, I use angles, bang, bang, right? I slip, I come with an uppercut, hook, then maybe I like throw a kick into it. I use it to experiment, I use it to work power, even a little bit of speed sometimes. I use it to work speed. The heavy bag is not used in the way that it should be by a lot of people. Like the heavy bag is, it's a lot more versatile than people think it is, right? So even though you can use it for, drilling, and even though you can use it for you can use it for technique and conditioning and shit like that. I prefer to use it for other things. So because of that, I don't have favorite combos. I just I always treat it like I'm in the middle of a fight. Okay, I even set round timer, and I even set the round timer and shit like that, and I treat it like it's gonna be a fight. I start off from like 10 feet away, and I walk out, and then I start bang, bang, bang. Who's some of your personal favorite fighters, boxing, MMA? I'm gonna answer this, and then I'm gonna answer one more, and then I'm gonna skedaddle. Okay. But uh, personal favorite fighters in boxing. I like Tommy Morrison and I like Marvin Hagler. Those are my two favorites. I like Tommy Morrison because I liked Rocky 4, even though no, that was Rocky 5. Even though a lot of people didn't like Rocky 5, I liked Rocky 5. In addition to that, I really liked, Tommy Morrison was a knockout artist and he was fun. Like his knockouts were fun. People talked about him having a glass chin. I don't think it's that he has a glass or had. He's dead now. I don't think it's that he had a glass chin. I think it's just that he got hit, the right way in certain fights, because that's really all it takes. You just get hit, bang, and that could be it for you, you know. Um, um, oh yeah, Marvin Hagler, right? Because I come from the area that he's from. And in addition to that, I kind of fight like he does in certain ways. Now, me, I prefer to be on the outside. I prefer to use my length, right? Bang, bang, straights, teeps. You can't see me throwing kicks right now. I'm sitting down. Long hooks, using angles to try and create more space. You try and move in, I move back out, and I circle, and all of a sudden I'm back at my range. But if I'm ever in a situation where I can't get away, instead of trying to move at angles, instead of trying to move away at angles, I go the opposite direction. I start fighting in the way that I was with Sam inside the fish tank house. If you look at the video on Rocky's stream, or if you look at the video on my channel, um, if you look at the video on my channel, you'll notice that with Sam, I got really in close and I started just trying to dig the body and throwing whatever I could throw, right? That's because when I know that I can't get away, I basically am just like, well, no other choice now, and I just start fucking brawling. It's just kind of how I am. I don't even hang out in the pocket. I just get as close as I can comfortably for me, and I just start fucking just going hard, you know? Oh man, my back is itchy. Itchy. All right, there we go. Marvin Hagler is Irish? No, he was not. With Morrison's first KO loss, nobody ever seems to give him props to how much of a monster Ray Mercer was. There's a reason the ring name was Merciless. Yeah, Ray Mercer was good. Tommy was one of those guys where when he lost, it wasn't to schlubs. He lost to Michael Bent, I believe was his name, but that was clearly a fluke. He just got caught, and that happens. It sucks when it happens, but it happens. And I think that if they did get him a rematch, he would have ended up beating Bent, right? But he ended up getting the belt back. But yeah, As for MMA, Mirko Krokop, he gave me my love for the left high kick. Even though I'm not a lefty, I still throw a left high kick, and I'm very good at it. I'm pinpoint accurate with it. If you give me that much space, I'll ding you in this part of your head, right? I've landed it in multiple fights, and I don't land head kicks in sparring. It's bad form to be actually making contact with people in sparring. But when I throw them, I know if they would have landed and if they would have landed square. And I always hit that in sparring, you know. Um, but yeah, Sam seems to have really improved. I was really surprised watching his training with you in the tank. Oh yeah, he's gotten a lot better. He wasn't bad in the beginning, but he's gotten a lot better, especially since he's really kind of focusing on trying to make sure that he's in boxing shape, not just in shape, but boxing shape. I do think that's a lot of it. People don't give Sam the credit that he deserves because they don't realize how difficult fighting is. Like I remember seeing everybody after the fight. Like there was a lot of people after the fight who were like, "Oh, he really didn't look that good," and it's like, no, actually, he looked really good. You just don't know what you're looking at. You legit don't know what you're talking about, and you don't know what you're looking at. Fucking, like, yeah, he got tired. He's 240 or 260. No, he was like 260 pounds, 6'4", 3 rounds into a fight that nobody thought would leave the first round. Of course he's fucking tired. But he was still able to win. He was still able to throw and all that other shit. So like when people sit there and they're like, "Oh, I saw Sam's fight. He really didn't look that good." It's like, that's how I know you don't know what fighting is. That's how I know you don't know boxing. That's how I know you don't know anything. Because these guys, not only was it their first fight ever, they have never been in a fight before this, and they're fighting at fucking, what was it, the O2 in London, I feel like that's what it was. They were fighting at the O2 in London, in front of like thousands of people, but they're also fucking heavyweights, and they're throwing ham hocks at each other. So of course they're gonna get fucking tired and a little bit sloppy. That's what happens with every heavyweight. So anyone who says that can eat shit. I kind of try to keep my mouth shut about it. I try not to give in to haters and say anything, but I'm saying that one time. There was somebody else who you training gun fu soon. I feel like that's kind of a joke. I feel like you're joking about that. But no, because I don't know any gun fu. Gun fu isn't real. I know that, but like I don't know anything that would even classify as like gun shit that I could show anybody, right? Other than like one gun disarm that I know that I don't want to show people because I myself would not bother with it. I myself would not do it, right? Excuse me. I wouldn't do it myself, so why would I teach you? Because the last thing I want is to teach you. And even if I do give a disclaimer where I'm like, "Yo, don't ever try this. If somebody tries to rob you with a gun, just give them your money." Even if I tried to tell you that, if I figured out that you tried it anyway and you got shot, I would feel really shitty, you know? But I do know one gun disarm that I know can work. But as I said, I'm not going to show it because I don't want to fucking, I don't want to fuck around and then, the obituary hits my fucking, my doorstep, and it turns out, Philip Burke, um, um, ex ridiculous X, tried to disarm somebody with a gun and he got shot, That's the last thing that I want. Also, campaign for me, brother. I'm a comedian and I want to get on season 2 of Fish Tank so bad. I need that money. If I get on, I'd love to train with you, brother. I mean, here's the thing that I want everybody to realize, right? I mean, I don't have that kind of pull with Jet Neptune. I'm not in constant contact with Jet Neptune. If I hit him up, he might not even get back to me. And it's not like he hits me up all the time, right? He's cool. He's a cool guy, and I like to think that he thinks I'm a cool guy, right? He's been very, very nice to me. Same with Ben, same with Tax, same with everybody, right? They've all been really cool to me. They've all been really nice to me, man, for real. But, um, I'm not a part of MDE. I'm not a part of Com 98. I'm not part of one team, right? I'm different than them, right? I'm built different, right? They're video editors, they're rappers, they're lyricists. They produce things. They make graphics, right? They have money making ventures and shit like that. You know, they're chasing their bag. Now me, I'm chasing my bag too, but I'm chasing it in a different way, right? I'm trying to see what I can do with this YouTube thing. I'm trying to see what I can do with this fighting thing. I'm trying to see what I can do with opening up an MMA gym and making investments and other things like that, right? So for me to be a part of MDE, like, I'd just be dead weight. I'd just be like, I'd be standing in the corner, you know, at the office, like doing nothing because I know nothing. I have nothing. I couldn't even sit here and be useful in terms of like, you know, I like it wouldn't work out because I'd be dead weight. There'd be no reason to keep me around, right? So I'm explaining this just to make you guys understand that you know, just to make you guys understand that like you know, like if I could, like I'd put in a word for you, but I can't sit here and guarantee that I'll even be able to do that because I don't have that kind of pull with Jet. It's not like I'm a part of MDE. They were just really nice to me. That's it. You know, I'm sure I'm gonna see them again. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure we're gonna be happy to see each other. And I'm hoping that, you know, I can be useful to them, right? But I can't just be like, oh, dude, you know, Joe Schmo wants to be on. You should definitely look into him. You know, if I get the opportunity, I will. So, you know, um, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. It's been over 2 hours. I only wanted to stream for one. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you to the people who ended up donating as well. I really appreciate that so much. You know, for real. You know, I didn't expect anybody to give me you know, I thank you know thank I didn't expect anyone to give me anything, you know, so the fact that anybody gave me anything is like, whoa, holy shit, you know, thank you so much for that. I will be streaming in the future. I don't know how long it will be. At the least, it's going to end up being July 22nd. If not, we'll stream before then. But anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. Check out the new video. You know, you can check my channel and you'll see it. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Peace out.